folks. One of the Redneck Country Podcast. You are on with Real Redneck Todd Millard. And, of course, we've got the almost guy, Real Redneck Bill, Tom Bill. Are you there?
I'm here, and it's a beautiful night for a podcast. Fired up tonight, I guess.
I'm going to back you up on that because I think it is a beautiful night. Now, I haven't got outside a whole lot. I just got to step outside, but I can see the sun shining, so I'm assuming it is. Dad, did you walk over?
Yes, I did. It's gorgeous. I'm warm.
Spoiler alert.
Who else have we got, Todd?
And I think his mic's hot. Sitting beside me, as always, is my father, the patriarch of Redneck Country, Real Redneck Don Millard. Dad, I got to ask you, is your mic hot?
It's hot. Yep. The heartbeat of the podcast is here. And I have my cup of tea with the podcast mug right beside me. I'm enjoying
Fantastic.
it. And it's official. The official drink for Redneck Country and the Redneck Country Podcast is tea. Because one of the newest members of Redneck Country, Bill Vokes, his drink is tea. That's what he takes in his thermos deer hunting. That's what he takes.
It's what we're attracting
hunting.
now. It's like next we'll be knitting. It'll be like, well, it's opening day of duck. What? And we have crochet class.
And when we
can't go to the duck blind.
And when he sits listening to the podcast, he's drinking tea. So, Bill, I toast you with my cup of tea.
I gotta
Thank you, Don. Toast you too. Todd?
I mean,
no, don't toast me. You guys probably don't. Wait, is that crustless toast? I'm assuming since you're drinking tea that you've cut the crust off your toast.
Oh,
we got our teeth.
We got a band together. We've got to hang together, and we've got to outnumber this sarcastic sucker. We got to show him.
It's not sarcasm. It's just straight up facts and truths.
We're not sitting here and taking this anymore.
Oh, look out.
No, that's it. It's all over but the crying now.
Yeah. Are you going to slap me?
It's my favorite blend is Great Value Orange Pico Decaf Tea.
We're not going Great Value. Well, it's the expensive stuff.
Yeah, well, I've got the... about that, I drink bold tea. I don't bother with the. I used to drink Earl Grey.
Hey, Jen, Megan, you guys want to take my spot because we're pretty sure we're going to encroach on sewing and knitting next.
And we'll second and third it. We'll have a podcast to remember tonight.
That's it. So yeah, and Todd, tell me, why have I not seen any posts on Facebook about you knocking down Bridget?
Yeah,
I'm a little bit concerned with the well, we do pretty good and it's pretty easy conversations that I've heard.
I'm blaming Mother Nature. She's yeah, that or it's because everybody I hunt with now drinks tea and crumpets. And
we are in the wheelhouse. We are in the bedroom. The Toms just will not cooperate.
I'll tell you what,
covered up with hens. The Toms will just not cooperate.
I snuck in Sunday morning. I left was it Sunday morning? Mm-hmm. Or was it Saturday morning? No, it was Sunday morning. I left the baggage behind and went by myself. And I snuck into our homemade little blind, so I didn't need nothing. I walked out in the field, and I know where they're roosted. I know the bedroom. I know where they're at least one, because there's so many toms in this, and the property we have permission to hunt on isn't huge, so we're right close to the property line. But all around, it's just fields and woods, little fingers of fields, and then little bushes.
This is David Suzuki Woods?
Nope. This is one we've been hunting for the last couple of years. Aside from the David Suzuki Woods is so big that when we've got all 6 of us or 7 of us, that's when we hit the David Suzuki Woods, so we could spread out and because it's a whole concession. I mean, there's enough room for all of us to sneak in there. We just drive around, drop people off as we drive around the block. So this one is smaller. There's probably spot for guys to be in it. You got 2 spots. So. And really, any more than that, the guys are just going to be there for moral support and praying one walks by them, right? So I know where they are. It's where we went opening day, and we had the 5 gobblers right in there, and that followed the hens away and didn't come out. So we built that little blind out of all the ground laying brush that when we sit in the big tall captain chairs, your eyeballs are level with it, so you're pretty well hidden. So I thought, okay, I'm by myself. I don't have Dad and Bill. I don't got anybody else. I can go out. So I walked in.
Did you refer to your dad as baggage?
I did. What?
I'm going to get my turn, Bill. I'm going to get my turn. I'm just waiting patiently for him to be done.
He's jacked up on Orange Pico. You better look out.
And I'm getting my turn. Mark my words.
Good Lord. Anyway, it's like he's drinking a little dog, Orange Pekingese, Pico. Anyway, so I snuck out. I get out in the middle of the field, where right adjacent to where I got to go in, and on when we built the little shanty, I swept all the leaves away so you could just creep in, because I mean they're going to be in the trees that you're sitting under. They're going to be right there. So I open up my chair out in the middle of the cornfield. I put it up over my head and I go in. So my chair's not opening when I get in there, and I can't use my little low lying turkey chair that I normally use by myself.
You can't see over the blind
because the blind's built for Dad's freaking director's chair. So I got to have this big chair. So I take the big chair, open it up, put it on my head, and I go walking in. I get to the corner. I can see it's dark. It's not even quarter. It's 5:00, and the neighbors have a rooster. And they got a dog. And normally that dog is barking, but I'm by myself, so I could get out of the truck quietly. And so I didn't wake the dog. So we're good to go. And I figured that dog wakes them up. So it's 5:00 by the time I get to this corner with the chair on my head, and I sneak in, and all I got is chair and gun and in my turkey vest with my calls and stuff in it. So I sneak right down the pathway that now the deer are using because the leaves are all brushed away. It's like a perfect run. So I sneak right down the pathway. I get right in. I set my chair down. I slide my gun out of the gun case really quietly, and I just sit there and wait. And it wasn't 15 minutes, and that rooster starts. And at like 2,000 yards away, you can hear very faintly, I hear 3 gobblers. And I'm like, oh, they didn't roost here. They're way, and that's where they're either gonna. But last year, the one that was gobbling there is when I shot him. Within 10 minutes, he closed the gap. I mean, they come. It's just unbelievable how fast. If they want to get someplace, they'll get there. So it doesn't bother me because and it was Mother's Day. And so my kids had mandated that I would be home by 8:30 a.m. So I had to leave there. Like I had to be in the truck driving home by 8 a.m. from out of the blind back to the truck, and then I'm having a 20-minute drive home. So I'm like, all right, so I've only got a short time. So they're way, so my heart sunk a little bit. And I just thought, nope, because I know there's enough toms in here that there's going to be one right above me. Like I am in the bedroom where they always are. And I know there's always hens in this spot. I don't even care. You could have hens everywhere. There's still going to be hens here. There's so many turkeys in this little area back in here that I know I got hens up above me. So I just sat there. And I'm waiting, and I bet you a half an hour went by with those toms just way over, and then way over the other side of me, and then way behind me. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's turkeys all the way around me at 1,000 yards minimum, not even. Not any closer, but nothing in the bedroom that I'm sitting in. I'm like, my freaking luck. Well, a half an hour, 40 minutes later, all of a sudden, 100 yards from me, maybe 80 in the tree. Holy jumping.
Yeah, lit you up.
I'm like, oh, there we go. He's here. Now I'm pumped. Well, I can see him. And there's some shrub, like there's leaves of trees because he's up pretty high. And I'm thinking he's going to look right down on me. So I got to be really careful now because he can look in my little hut that I'm sitting in and I can see it, but I can just see him moving. And there's enough leaves and stuff that I'm good. Right beside him is a hen on the branch in the next tree. And so I'm like, all right, there's my competition. I need her to come to me, and then he will come to her.
That's right.
Well, for 10 minutes, he would and I thought, I'm not calling. I'm just going to sit here. And maybe when it starts to get, and I know, okay, it's getting lighter because it's still pretty dark. When it starts to get lighter and I know she's going to get ready to come down, then I'm going to make maybe a little, or maybe I'll make a little gobble so that he's got competition. He's going to get down over here. So I waited. Well, he sat there 10 minutes, every 45 seconds in her face. And I'm like, she's just sitting there looking at him. And he's just up and down that branch and gobbling right in her face. Well,
full puff on the branch and all that.
Yeah, like nonstop. After 10 minutes, she flew away. I mean, not even like, I thought, oh, here she comes. And nope, she turned around and boom, like an eagle. She gone. I'm like, wow, she was pretty athletic. Like she picked, usually they come down, right? She picked up, man. She was a Harrier jet. Have a good day. I am gone. And I went, whoa. Well, she didn't like him. And I thought, wait. And he stayed. I'm like, well, now
he didn't follow.
Now I'm locked in. My competition just left. I'm good to go. So I got out my call and I just gave a little bit of really nice. And then I waited and then I hit my gobble. And then he gobbled. I'm like, all right, so I'll wait. So I sat there and he gobbled. And I remember Scotty saying the turkey he shot this year, he sat down, it gobbled, he gobbled, it gobbled, he gobbled. He just matched it for gobble to gobble, never called a hen once. I'm like, all right. So he gobbled, I gobbled. He gobbled, I gobbled. And then as it got light, like, okay, he's got to get out of this tree. And then I could hear some hens down the ravine behind him. And I went, oh, there's my competition. Now I wasn't cocky enough to just sit on the gobble. So and I had him hooked. I had him gobbling. Well, after, my gosh, it was light. It was another 20 minutes, half an hour after light, he finally comes down. And I could see his wings start to, and it's like a second, but the anticipation made that feel like forever. And he comes straight down below that tree at 100 yards, never towards me, just straight down. And I thought, okay, I just moved my gun just a slight bit over, so I aimed that way. All I got to do is wait for him to walk to me. So I just sat there, and he started to walk kind of adjacent to me, staying at about 100 yards. And so I could just see his head because it kind of rolled in there. And I just, and he'd puff up. And he'd unpuff. And he'd puff up. And he stayed at 100 yards and walked all the way like in a circle. And I thought, okay, he's going to come around these trees then and come up the other side of this little, because it's a little drop down, and come up the other side of this little drop down to my left. And I'll be ready for him. I got a huge tree right in front of me that he's going to go behind, and I'm going to have all day long to move my gun or do whatever I got to do. So all of a sudden he puffed up. There's nothing between us, but he's 80 to 100 yards. He puffs up, puts his butt to me. I thought, okay, he's showing me his tail. So I just kind of, and then he walked away.
No.
And he's gobbling as he's walking away.
Did you have decoys in?
Nothing. I'm in the woods, and I didn't want to spook nothing, right? Like, I mean, I'm in their bedroom, and normally they just come straight down. And I'm like, where is he going? There's nothing there. Why is he not coming to me? I've done nothing. He didn't see me. I've only called minimal. Like, this should be textbook on a string right to me. So I thought, screw this crap. You know how I roll. So I'm in my running shoes, man. I'm up. I'm snuck around the outside of that blind, and I stayed on the brushy side, and it just gradual drop down until it hits the 100-yard drop kind of ravine that goes straight down. And that's where they'll land, they'll mill around where we are, and then they'll walk down that edge and then disappear. And that's normally what they do. So why is he going that way though? I don't even hear hens that way. So I got down, I start to creep like ninja stalk, but pretty freaking quick because I need to catch him. He's going to drop. Soon as I seen him disappear, I figured he's over that ledge. It won't be long, and he's across that flat, right? So I start going. Well, as I'm going, on the edge of that ravine, there was 5 hens. So, and then I never even seen him. After he must have ran away when they were flying out of the trees that I put up. So I figured the whole time they were 200 yards away on the edge of that ravine, kind of that drop off, maybe a bit less, but maybe 150. I couldn't probably hear them just with their faint little in the tree. He could. And so he had live hens he was going to. He was going right to them. He knew they were there. I wasn't nothing but a call.
No, that'd be tough. If there was that many hens kicking around, even if you had a couple of decoys, he would have gone to where he knew was there.
Yeah, where he roosted up with them, right? He was hanging with them is my assumption the night before. So Saturday morning, Same idea. I went in and I had hens all around me. I never had any. That was the David Suzuki Woods. 3 freaking gunshots, all pretty freaking close. So that was kind of disheartening. Dad and Bill went. They sat in a different spot. But I had a hen. The coolest thing was I had a hen down below me at about 70 yards in the green field, which is like the same field I'm sitting in. I'm on a fence row, but the green field drops down to this creek that I got across. And I'm up watching this big cut cornfield on the fence row between this green field and cornfield. And the green field just rolls down to the creek. Pretty drastic drop. And so this hen was in the tree that I was sitting against. And so when it got light, she just it scared the living crap out of me and flew down and landed down still in the same field I was sitting in, but down in the green, and it's growing up. I mean, it's about ankle high. And so she's walking around pecking, and these black red wing orioles or whatever they call them came down the creek edge, flew down to this little brush fire, and were dive bombing her. And I sat there for a half an hour watching, and one of these blackbirds would bomb her, and she would fly up like 3 feet in the air and like 180, 360 almost, like, but a 180 with her feet up in the air, trying to kick them out of the air, and then roll and land back down on her feet. And they weren't chasing.
Experience, you know? I mean, even if you don't get the harvest and animal and stuff, the things that you see in the woods,
it was so cool. And I thought,
it's amazing.
Those birds, obviously, they're territorial there. They got a nest or something. They want her gone. And more came. There had to be like 7 or 8 birds. And they just kept one after the other, dive bombing. And I thought, she kept going back. She would go towards them, looking at them in the air. And she would anticipate them bombing her, and she'd jump up trying to kick them out of the air. It was freaking wicked. But I sat there all morning and saw nothing, didn't hear a gobble. And so I moved down, and as I moved down to where there was 3 hens walking around, I moved down there, I found a shed. So it wasn't all lost. And it was a pretty decent shed. I bet this year it's going to be a pretty good sized buck.
Yeah, you showed me that shed. That looked pretty good. And like I said, even if you didn't get a bird, that to me is a successful hunt, because I love get the shed. I've only got one. Cool. As far as I've been out, every time I've been out in the woods, I've only ever found one shed for all the times I've been there. But the goal is to get a match set or a goal where the bucks are, and see if you can get a big shed. And that looked pretty nice. Yeah,
it was pretty good. It was pretty good 8 point, or it'd be a 4 point shed. So this year I imagine it'll be pretty decent. You
didn't see that.
I tried to find the match set one, but no dice.
You didn't see that deer in the season on camera?
It might have been one of 4 that we saw. Scotty took a shot at, missed one of them with his crossbow. So
it might have been this one.
There was 4 early season roaming together, and I'd say all 4 of them. One was bigger than the rest, but all 4 were 8 point minimum. And I don't go by inches, I go by points. But 8 point minimum, and I mean they were the one I called a devil buck. That's not this rack. They came right around. They looped. He didn't like they did this big wave in the air out front of his head and swooped in and almost joined at the middle. Like they looked just like evil horns coming out. That would have been the one I'd target. But they walked by me at about 80 to 100 yards, and I let Scott know they're coming, and he was able to take a crack at one, but it was so far out. It was a pretty far shot. He didn't capitalize, but I have not got one on the board, which we normally do by now, and I will attest it to straight up wind. Sunday was the first morning that it was not windy, and I tell you, I never have them gobble when it's windy. Yeah, and I need them to gobble.
It's been a tough season for weather. I mean, I see a lot of pictures on Facebook and whatnot about people getting birds, and they must have more time to hunt than I do for sure.
Well, and that's it. I normally get out. Yeah, I normally get out more than I am right now too. I'm only getting out on the weekends. Normally, I'll get out a couple days through the week, but
yeah, it's been tough. I mean, I got out Saturday morning, and same deal. I was so confident that there would be at least hearing birds in the woods that I was in. It was and obviously it's public land. That's where I'm hunting. And I got there on Saturday morning. It was super early. Got in. Nobody was around. I thought, great. It was kind of snotty weather the day before, but Saturday morning, it started off to be calm. Within the first hour that I was there, the wind picked up and it was starting to rain and kind of stuff like that. But not a gobble, not a hen, not indication that there was even a turkey in the same, 100 kilometers from where I was. It was very, very disheartening. I had the only experience that I had was a couple experiences, but I had a fox, and the fox was stalking my decoys.
See, that'd be cool. Was it a nice plushy one, like stuffed animal fox?
Yeah, it was beautiful. The fox was beautiful. It was had a little bit of the winter hair shedding off it, but it was a beautiful big fox. And,
see, good buddy of ours. You wouldn't shoot one of them?
Nope, not a fox.
No.
Coyote, yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with it, but fox, no.
Good buddy of ours is that he's an old school. He's known as like the coyote hunter from probably. I don't know. He's 45 minutes away or so, and you'll see him. I think you've met him, but I call him Old Man Ray. But Ray Axford out of the Rodney area, and he's always told me he's a super guy. I first met him when he had coyotes in the back of his truck, and he told me that he would never, ever, for all of the coyotes he's hunted, that's his main thing, and that's what he does. And he had dogs and would run them and the whole 9 yards, but he would never shoot a fox. There's no reason to ever shoot a fox.
I think the same thing. I mean, I don't have chickens. They're not hurting anything around. The local farmers aren't complaining that the foxes are getting into they're complaining about coyotes for sure. But I mean, that fox was, in the wintertime, I saw a fox in Thornton, which is not that far. It's not a big city and there's no major stuff around, but it was running down the side of the road with a big rabbit in its mouth. Okay, well, it's got to eat. So if that's what it's doing,
just showing off.
This one, that's all it was doing. But this fox on the weekend, I was calling a little bit, and I know for sure it was coming into the calls and the decoys, and the wind was blowing enough across that it caught my wind and then boogied off, and it took off in a hurry.
Oddly enough, do you know what the name Todd means? I had a keychain. I had a keychain as a kid. I know what it
means to me.
I had a keychain. Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
I had a keychain when I was a kid that my grandparents gave me, and it said it was the definition of Todd. It was sly as a fox.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
There's something to be said for that, I think.
I like it. You guys bite your tongues. You tea drinking turds.
Coyote? Is that what it was?
I'm not a coyote. It's a fox.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll move on. Moving along. So after seeing the fox and not hearing gobbles and getting extremely discouraged, I decided to just go for a walk in the woods and see if I could, walk and call and see if there was any birds kicking around. And yeah, sure enough, I get out to the second field that attaches to the one I'm in, and there's a truck there with a guy with his dog, and he's planting trees. So that's
planting trees on public land.
Oh yeah,
it's either a good Samaritan or he's on community service. I don't know whether to go say hi or to run away.
I skirted around the edge of the field from where he was, but yeah,
planting trees or throwing in a body, Bill. What was going on? We know your stories. Candace found a blood trail one time walking down there,
and actually, it's the same woods.
I tell you what.
I'm not thinking I'm going to be hunting in this woods very much because the sign isn't there and there's some sketchy stuff going on. And then I got out to the little creek, and I was looking in the creek for some fish because it was that time of year, and didn't see a thing. And I got up to the bottom of the hill, and I let out a call to see if I would get a shot gobbler or something. And sure enough, another turkey hunter was right there, and he looked pretty discouraged seeing me, and I looked pretty discouraged seeing him, and we both kind of walked out to our cars together. And when we got out to where the cars parked, 3 other vehicles showed up with their dogs and people. So I guess it was time for me to go anyway. So the discouraging things that happen when hunting on public land, and I had just had enough at that point because the wind was starting to pick up.
If we weren't on lockdown, Bill, you'd be down here with us.
Yeah, we would be sharing our woes together or sharing our victories. But I tell you, it's just this season right now, I'm extremely discouraged, and I'm not even going to go out Saturday morning, I don't think.
Bite your tongue.
Pork shoulder I got thawing in the sink right now, and I think I'm going to put that on the barbecue on Saturday.
Tea is the gateway. It's the gateway drug right there.
Yeah.
First
It's a
thing
charcoal.
you're doing a podcast about the outdoors. You start drinking tea. Next thing you know, you're not even going hunting anymore. Now you just put on your apron and make some people some food.
Yeah, well, we all have our place in this podcast. And I guess I'm.
Do you is Candace
do the
within
cooking.
earshot? Maybe we can hear
She's
some
not.
of her success stories.
Yeah.
Tell her to grab her coffee. Come sit down with us.
How many nights have we sat here and listened to him brag about the food he's made, and now he's on your case for making food? Like,
It's not
come
for
on.
making food.
Talk
It's for
about-
staying home from hunting to make food.
There's nothing wrong with that. Talk about a hypocrite. My gosh, he stays home for work. That's
Yeah.
something I
Well,
never
there you
do.
go. I don't do that. I was gonna. Well, I made a bad call on Wednesday morning. Wednesday morning, I work from home because Candace goes into the office, and I gotta make sure the youngest is getting on phone calls and doing all the homeschooling type stuff. And I thought, you know what? The last Wednesday, I went hunting and there was nothing, but I decided to stay in bed on Wednesday morning because Tuesday night was terrible. The wind was rattling. The windows were rocking.
Big
and
storm
rolling
came up
here.
through from Texas, right? Came all the way up.
It was,
yeah.
and I said, and it was cold too. And I said, forget it. I am not getting up Tuesday morning or Wednesday morning to go. So I ordered something from Princess Auto for the boat because I have to do curbside pickups and all that kind
I
of
did the
stuff
same
now.
thing.
And so Princess Auto opens up at 8 a.m. And I said to Candace, you know what? I'm getting up. I'm going to be there right when they open because I got my first work phone call at 9. Okay, sure enough, I go down one of the roads, the side roads, and there was 2 massive toms with 3 hens surrounded, like in there, 25 yards off the road. And it's not where I hunt. I had no chance or anything of getting these birds, but it was such a beautiful morning, and it was just the way my season's going. When I decided to stay home and not go out, the birds were out, the full strut, chasing hens around. And
so really what we need to do is make an app, the Almost Guy app. And so everybody can, new hunters, subscribe to it. And what's Bill doing today? Oh, Bill's staying home. You get your butt to that woods. That's how that goes. See, I'm privy to that info. Hey, Bill, you going hunting? Nope. All right, I'm going. It's got to be good.
Yeah. Well, it is the way it is. We got our ways of doing things, and I tell you right now, I don't know what works. You know, my brother and I were talking. He's having a little bit of the same type of woes where he's hunting down there with the weather and stuff. And
it's just the weather. I think everybody is frustrated. There's not near the amount of posts on Facebook and all the hunting groups and everything like that of all these turkeys being shot. And so I guarantee you it's the wind. It's really, I don't think it's the cold as much as it's this freaking wind. And they are so on edge when that wind is going that it's insane. I mean, they just gotta, people that don't want to stalk them, which I get, you want to just sit there, you're going to have a really, really hard time because they're not moving much. They're going to sit in their little area that they're at. And I mean, even if you're calling and they're gobbling, they don't want to come out of that woods, and they don't want it because it's so windy and they can't see the danger. They're not moving a lot.
No, and I agree with that. My brother was, we talked on Saturday, him and I back and forth a little bit. He was in the woods on Saturday afternoon and actually had 5 trees fall in the woods.
Widowmakers, no doubt, eh?
Yeah, and it was that windy that I said, fella, I don't think you got any chance. If you got that much wind that you got trees falling all around you.
Unless you see one fall on a turkey, or there's a turkey in the tree that falls.
Then you might have a chance. But at that point, I think you'd be better off to just head home. So
no doubt. But I tell you what, I have a theory that it's going to be good because on top of that, all these turkeys are hanging out together. I believe they're not traveling a lot. So the hens have been bred. So the hens are going to start, okay, I don't want you near me anymore. Yada, yada, yada. They're going to start flying away. Everything. It's going to make these toms. And now I think this is going to start to get golden now. Now the toms are looking for the hens, and now they're going to be more responsive to the calls. Now they're going to get fired up, and they're going to come in hot and heavy a lot quicker. You're going to be able to close a 2,000-yard gap in 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I mean, I was driving to work this morning. I think I texted you this morning on this one. And this is the first time in this particular field, there was two massive toms. You know, they were probably 80 yards
Their names
apart.
were not Bill and Jay.
No, they were not Bill and Jay. I'm not as big as he is. He's a lot bigger than I am.
It's his diet. It's his
diet for sure. I bet you he's listening to the podcast right now.
He's getting fierce. It's his morning pop and what is it? Circle K burrito or whatever.
Oh, it's just he's a pillar of health. I tell you, that's for sure. But this field had two massive toms in full strut, and there wasn't a hen to be seen. So.
Oh, there had to be something nearby. No doubt, eh?
Yeah.
They were trying to call it out of the woods.
Guaranteed. Well, maybe, because when I came home in the same block of field, there was a cut cornfield. There was a tom in full strut, and he had four hens around him. So, yeah, guaranteed that these two toms kind of roosted up in a tree close enough to the hens where they could hear them, but they weren't right on top of them. Maybe because, to your point, they're kicking them out, and they're having to do some solo stuff, you know.
I'm betting you, man. It's about that. This is it. People don't put the I don't know, and I don't do the research enough. Like I said, I keep turkey hunting fun, not like deer where I'm watching the rut and I'm watching the cycles and the moon phase and I'm watching the barometric pressure and I mean we can go on and on and on. Turkeys I don't, but I bet you there is a very similar deal that they've now hit it for a little while, and I think they were on it early because before our season started, because it was so nice for so long, and now we've had the lull, we've had wind, which put them all together, which then sealed the deal that the lull's there now, and now it's the toms that they're feisty now. The problem is their weight will be down a little bit because they've been chasing for so long. They're going to be a little bit skinnier, a little bit lighter, but makes the beards look bigger.
Sure does.
So now, what were you going to say, Dad?
Well,
because way back you started.
Well, it's my turn now.
It's my turn.
Yeah.
Good
said the time
grief.
Tuesday night. The only morning I had this week was Wednesday, between being tied up, things to do for people, appointments. So Tuesday night I said, no chance that you're going to be able to go hunting Wednesday morning and be home in time for work. No. He said, I start way too early.
Too much to do.
Too much to do. I said, good. So I called Bill.
Good.
I didn't say it to him.
I'm going to remember that.
I didn't say it to him. I said it to myself. So I called Bill.
That's hurtful.
Bill, are you hurtful? Talk about hurtful. This is my turn. So what do you think about hunting Wednesday morning?
What did they say? What is it?
And I said, Todd can't go.
Two wrongs don't make a right.
Yeah, well, in this case, it's called payback. So
pretty sure
I said to Bill, what about Wednesday morning? And I said, Todd can't go. It's just me and you. He says, I'm in.
Wait a minute.
Great.
Wow. He was that ambitious knowing Todd wasn't going to be able to go.
He won't make fun of us for drinking our tea and knitting our toques while we sit in our tent.
So
we won't shoot a turkey either because he won't be there to say, hey, put your needles down, pick up your shotguns, boys. We got something coming in that we're out here for.
I'll pick you up 4:30. He said, okay. So I get up. Of course, I'm ready early. And it's about 22 minutes after 4. And I thought, well, Bill's always ready. He'll be sitting in the garage with the garage door open. So I drive over, pull up. Sure enough, as soon as I pull in, he's ready. He stands up, closes the garage door. Where are we going? And I said, well, we're going to go to the spot where we made that little log cabin blind, just me and you. And we're not, he said, what are we taking? I said, just our chairs. No decoys, nothing. We're going to be in the woods. Okay. So we drive in, we get to in the laneway, we get to the second hump. I turn the lights out. I don't want to wake the dog. And I said, remember that stupid dog? I mean, he's a couple hundred yards away, but for some reason, he hears everything and sees lights.
Not everything.
And man, so I said, what we're going to do, we're going to get out and I'm going to get our chairs and our guns and I'm going to put them in the field on the far side of the car. Do not slam the doors or anything. We don't want to wake the dog.
Wait a minute. So when we go, Bill, I swear to you, I kid you not, it is caution to the wind. Should we park here? Do you want to drive right up to why don't we drive right up to where we're going to put the tent? Why don't we hunt right out of the truck?
I'm going to tell you.
So hold on.
No.
My turn.
No, it's my turn.
No, but
I drove past the parking spot,
Yeah.
turned out my lights, and drove to the wide turn and parked on the grass.
So here's the gig that
I got a little bit
they
past
get
the
out,
dog.
they slam the doors, they're having a general conversation like you're hanging out at the mall, and it's like, all right, well, where do you want to go? Well, I don't know. Well, how about we go to a whole other farm?
We know
because
where
you
we're
just
going.
woke them all up.
Oh, my Lord. Do I get a turn here?
I'm just saying, when you go with me, it's caution to the wind. Nobody cares. Now you're with Bill. You're all of a sudden you become Todd. I want that dad when we go hunting.
I put a strap on his chair.
Did you walk like a deer?
I said, does that help? Oh, yeah, that's a lot better.
Did you walk like a deer?
We don't walk like deer. We both got arthritis in our knees. No. I said, but we unzip our cases here at the car. And he says, because we're going to be right in that bedroom. He says, oh, yeah, I know where you're going to be. He says, we were sitting off the side with him, but now we're going to be right in the woods. So he knows. So we unzipped our cases. Away we go in. Now, I was really worried about being pitch black, finding that little pathway. I walked right to it. There it is. Perfect.
See, who is this dad?
Put the guns down.
Wait. What about your chairs?
We had our chairs on our shoulders because we got straps.
When did you? So you didn't open them till you got to the edge of the woods?
We got to the edge.
See, I'd have done it 100 yards out.
I know. And you would have done it like ordering us to, and with a nasty, and you're sarcastic, and don't bang it, don't drive.
Common
all
sense.
The rules. I said to Bill,
yeah, they follow them when they're not being taught.
Let's slide our guns out of the cases and leave the cases right here. Chairs off our shoulders, open them up, good to go. And he says, where are we going? We're going to just follow me. We're going right in this path. And we walked up to it, and I just pointed at Bill through the little doorway.
Did you trip over the big log?
Nope. We stepped over the log.
I don't even know who these people are.
I pointed to him to go to the right side because it's higher. His chair's a little lower than mine. So he put his chair down, and I knew that if he sat on the left, he would not be able to see over the right side because it's higher. So he sat to the right. And then I put my chair to the left, sat down, put our masks on, and it wasn't even an inkling of light. And we just sat there and waited. And it started to get light. I didn't call. I didn't do anything. I'm waiting to hear some gobbles, and it's starting to get lighter and lighter, and not a gobble anywhere. And I thought, oh my gosh, they've roosted somewhere else. They're not here. Well, I gave a light hen call, and then I gave one light gobble. And we waited for another 10 minutes or so. And then I got one gobble, one time, between 80 and 100 yards, right smack in front of us, where it gets really thick. And
where mine disappeared to.
Yeah, both of us were startled. There's a bird there in the tree. Wonderful. I gobbled, no response. I didn't overgobble.
Really?
So I waited a while, gobbled again.
Was it windy?
No, not in the woods. It was a little breezy out in the field, but not bad. It wasn't wind.
Maybe he could smell your tea.
Yeah, right. So I gobbled again. No response. So now it's 5 after 6, and all we've had is one gobble, one time. Haven't heard him come out of the tree. Haven't heard nothing. And 3 hens just to the right of me, right in front of Bill's face, come down out of the trees, and they're facing him when they come down. They come down on a 45-degree angle toward us, and they're facing Bill, all 3 hens. They are now shootable, and all they are is hens. And we are sitting there motionless. So I got my hands down, the call is out, and I just go a little bit, and they fluff their feathers.
Needed to be more.
And give me a break. And they fluff their feathers, and they mill around there for a few minutes, and then they walk parallel to us, directly south towards the gobble that we heard once, and they're gone. So we sit there for another 25 minutes, 6:25. Now we're starting to hear a gobble behind us, the other side of the field. We can hear it, and we both wear hearing aids. So it's not like
if you could hear it, it wasn't the other side of that field.
It was the other side of the field.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, it was faint.
It's 40 yards.
No, we could hear it. It was behind us, the other side of the field.
It was in their blind.
It was back where I shot the bird last year and where Scotty got one of his, back in that corner. So I knew where that bird was. I knew exactly where it was in that swale, but it wasn't at us. So every once in a while I'd call. 6:25, 3 more hens come down only they come down and towards where the gobble was. And we see all three of them come down on the ground. They're not shootable. They're further away, but they fluff their feathers and they walk directly away. And I thought,
not a beard in the bunch,
not a beard out of the 6, and never did know where that Tom went. We sat there till about 10 to 7. Never heard him again. Only one gobble one time. Never saw him. Never heard him out of the tree. And 6 birds had come out around us. So I said to Bill, you know what? I haven't got any faith in this spot now. I said, let's sneak out of here, cross the field, and we'll set up over in that corner of the northeast corner of the field, northwest corner of the field. We're in the southwest corner of the owner's field. Let's go to the northwest corner. Bill says, I'm game. So we got up quietly, picked up our chairs, walked out.
Quietly.
We did. We crossed the field.
That's a matter of opinion.
And the field goes up, peaks, and then starts to slope down again. And when we got over the hump, we could see a little finger coming out into the field. Was probably about 50 yards from the corner, 60, 70 yards from the corner maybe. And it was where we had sat last year when I shot my bird in the field. Only instead of turning around and facing the way we come, we faced the little lower field because it's a ledge there. It drops down about 12 feet, and the field goes around this little point and goes around to the left of us. So if we look directly to the corner of the field, which is about 70 yards, it's like a 90-degree corner, and there's a swale goes right along the property line to the west. And then there is a farm road that cuts the swale, and it's only about 20 yards wide, goes to the next property. So we set up in there. We're all hunkered in the woods. We got in the weeds in there. We got perfect cover. We sit there, and I call periodically. Never hear a gobble again after we moved there. But a big hen came out. Didn't know where it came from. It just appeared in the corner, whether it come out of the grass or whatever.
That's when they woke up.
Yeah, right.
There it was.
No, it wasn't. I'm telling you, we were pumped. We knew there was a bird there, and turned around after 5 or 10 minutes and walked back in the swale. So I thought, okay, if it walked back into the Tom, I got to keep walking along watching along that west edge of the swale for him to come into our field. So we're keeping an eye there. I looked through 20 minutes later, I looked through that little farm road, and standing in the open on the other side in that field, right on the edge of that farm road, is a huge Tom, a long beard, big white and red head, and he is standing there majestic.
Majestic.
Oh, I'm telling you, the sun
unicorn,
was shining.
Tom.
The sun, that's what it was.
There was a beam came down.
I looked there and I thought, what on earth is that big thing? Because the sun was shining on him.
Majestic.
His feathers were glistening. I mean, you couldn't miss him. Bill and I saw him at the same time. Our eyes were big as saucers. Bill went, oh my gosh.
I'm picturing a Snapchat filter with the stars around him.
Isn't that bird big? Bill says, oh my gosh. I said, see that white head? He says, yep. So I gave a little call. He looked. I gave a gobble. My hands down really low. Gave a gobble. Head come up. Put his head down. And then walked away to the south along the edge of that.
No interest in what you were doing
whatsoever.
Oh, that's too bad.
I said to Bill, okay, sit here for another 20 minutes. We're going home and have breakfast. He says, I'm with you. And I've been trying so hard to get Bill his first turkey. I'm determined that he's going to shoot, not me. And I said, Bill, I thought it was this morning. We didn't have Todd with us. It's just me and you. We did everything right. I was just positive you were going to go home with a bird, and we were going to show Todd we could do it. And he said, it'll happen.
I heard it of that conversation too.
So, I mean, that's my story.
What, Bill? What did you get out of that? I'm interested.
What I got was on a couple podcasts ago. I think it was opening weekend. You, Don, were convinced that if you guys weren't there, Todd would have got a bird.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And guess what? We just proved that last weekend that with you guys not there, he still can't get a bird.
No, there wasn't 5 there.
You know what, Bill? I think he needs a cup of tea.
Oh,
jeez. I think he does. I think he just needs to change up his routine.
I'll tell you what.
Maybe get a beard or something.
We're gonna have one. We're gonna grow a beard. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I did. I did. I said, I think you need to grow a beard. You are the only one on the podcast without a beard.
Because it's my Almost Guy app said, Bill has a beard. Oh, let's get out the razors, folks.
Yeah, and I'm really wanting to get into my barber, but I can't. Now it's postponed again for another couple of weeks.
Yep.
Anyway.
Well, I tell you what, I'm gonna have one next. It's gonna happen. Next podcast, I'll be telling a story about how I shot one in the face.
I hope so.
Me too.
We need some form of tag punching going on here.
That's right.
He's gone out on a limb and said that on the air. Holy moly.
On a limb. That's a good
What
punch.
is this guy like? He's like Babe Ruth calling his shot. You know?
That's right. Right in the face. Yes, I am. But yeah, so I think it's the wind. I know we like to give tips and tricks and stuff like that, but this year we ain't got none for this season. We're struggling.
Well, here, I got a question for you. I don't know if we're almost at our time or not. Maybe they'll keep this one a little short for an answer. But I had a conversation with my brother a little while ago about the bush he's hunting and the number of people that goes with him. Doesn't matter whether it's 2 people or 4 or whatever. If you are hunting a bush and you're splitting up the hunting property, how far or close do you keep it so that you guys aren't competing with each other?
Oh, I don't mind. I don't mind competing. We typically, because when we go, that woods that Dad just gave a description of, Scotty is probably 300 yards away.
Oh, yeah, if he goes right to the corner.
But last year, when Dad shot his turkey at the end of season, and me and Scott had already shot ours, but Scott still had another tag. So me and Dad went in and sat down, and Scott was only 70 yards from us, behind us, because we were in that finger, and he was sitting where that big Tom just came out, where Dad said.
So you guys don't worry about being able to hear Scott call.
I think it's better
where you are.
So, and that's what we'll do it. We'll play off each other and help each other out. Yeah. Right. So and Scott, what, Dad?
The only thing I was going to say, if we're both trying to get birds, or there's 2 or 3 spots where people are sitting in our group and we're all trying to get birds, we're kind of conscious that we don't cut one another off.
Well, if they're
I got mine
in the walking area,
in the morning I got mine, we cut Scott off from anything coming from the south. We cut him off. They had to become an east, west, or north.
But he was comfy with that. We said that going in, Scott. If we sit here, we're going to cut you off. He's like, no, I got mine. I'm good. You go get yours. And a big flock of birds came to us from the south. Now, if we weren't sitting there, would they have kept going that other 70 yards? Absolutely.
To him? There's a really good chance they would have. But that was the only direction he was cut off, and he was good with that. Now, in this other place, if somebody's going to sit in the cut, then normally the way the birds move from one field to the other, off this corner, through that cut, you can sit pretty near anywhere around that field and not cut the person off from the cut.
Well, because they come out of everywhere. I don't see turkeys being like deer where they got set trails. They're not walking deer runs.
Oh, I forgot to mention that. You said deer. Bill and I, at first light, had 2 deer, big deer, come, and there was no fawns. There were 2 big deer, and they come blasting right beside us to the left. I mean, they come right next to us, right? They come out of the field, right through. They were on the dead run when they hit the woods, right through the woods, right down beside us, and right down that slope, right to where that turkey was gobbling at first light. So I don't know if something spooked them in the field or what, but they were already on the run when they come by us, and they were nice deer.
Well, and with turkeys, I don't think that they stick to those deer runs. Like I've had them come through thick brush. I've had them just show up in the middle of a swamp. Like it's ridiculous. I don't think they like to jump fences a lot. I don't think they like to fly up ravines. They like to fly down them more than up them. But I will say, I don't think they stick to any set path, or they don't have a pattern where you could say, the deer rock by here so much you can see a deer highway.
Turkey trail.
Yeah, they're all over the map, right? Like it's insane. So yeah, really, it's tough to say you're going to cut somebody off, but I mean, we know Scott's sitting in that spot because that woods is smaller, that we were going to cut him off. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts. birds there, if they're roosted there, to get to him there, they got to go through us. But he was okay with that because he was getting any birds the other side. So any birds coming from that way towards us, he would have got them. Right. And they might not have made it to us. So we had 70 yards in between us where whoop-de-doo. But no, we don't really do it. We'll play off each other. We'll help each other. Me and Scott's very first time ever hunting together. We got done work and he said, "You want to go hunt?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm in. Let's go." And he hunted, I hunted, but we never hunted together. So he's like, I'm looking for someone. You want to hunt with me? Yep. He goes, "I got a piece of property. I got tree stands already up. Let's just go." Well, by the time his kids, we had to wait for his wife to get home because our kids were younger, so that she could watch the kids. I think mine might have been, I don't even know mine, but where my wife or my kids were. But anyway, I remember waiting at Scott's house. His wife got home at 5:00. And I mean, early deer season, it was a little earlier, so we could hunt a little bit longer, but we're like, man, we don't have a whole lot of time. We got to go. And it's pretty close to this place that we hunt turkeys. So it's about 20 minutes away. So we blasted out there. Scotty got in one stand. He just told me, "Walk this pathway all the way through the woods over there and you'll see a tree stand. Just keep looking up." And oh my gosh, I was in the hardwoods. I found it, but there was a chance I wouldn't have found it. So I went through, I found it. I got up and I was probably 80 yards inside the woods of Scott. But I was calling and he's like, "It's too early to call." And you know me, whatever, man. I think animals are social and it's just some will call all year round. I've had turkeys gobbling in my face in November in deer season. So I was calling deer and he messaged me and he said, "Keep calling. You're bringing a buck right to me." And that first time we ever hunted together, I was rattling and I dropped a buck I drew a buck from 1,000 yards the other side of Scott right to Scott. He shot that thing at 30 yards. He said, "It's coming. It keeps looking up and it's coming. It's slow, but it's coming. Just keep rattling." So I just kept going and I pulled a bucket. So we do the same for turkey now. And Scott even said that opening morning. I said to Scott, I could hear him gobbling. Because he was only 100 yards behind us where we were on opening morning. Gobbling. And Scott could hear us gobbling. I could hear Scott gobbling and we had turkeys gobbling. And the way that Scott's down in the bottom behind us and we're kind of sitting up and that little ravine I talked about that Thom walked to and then disappeared, that wraps around and Scott's kind of on that ravine, but on the other end, on the other side of us. But when something gobbles down in that ravine, it sounds closer to Scott than it does to us because it goes right through that ravine right to him. So he was calling, and when he would call, he'd get gobbles. When I'd call, I wouldn't because I was calling. I figured they couldn't hear me, but they could hear him, and he was hearing gobbles that we couldn't even hear because it just echoes right up through that ravine right to him. And so he said to me, I said, "Have you got a Tom? Because you keep calling." He says, No. I'm calling your Toms for you guys." And so we do that. We'll play off each other. "Hey, Scott, call. I think I got a Tom behind me and I've been calling for 45 minutes and this Tom won't come closer." And so there's a thing that's known as I don't know if you've ever heard of this, Bill, but the walking away hen. And when Toms will sit there and gobble and gobble and gobble and gobble, and it's only since so many hens are around that now the Toms don't got to go to the hens go to the Toms. So the Tom will sit there and will never come in and will just sit at 150 yards gobbling, 200 yards gobbling its fool head off saying, "You come to me, hen, I'm not coming to you." So then one guy that's in the blind would leave the blind and keep calling as he's walking away from the Tom for the other guy to still sit there. And so it's like that hen's walking away. Well, now the Tom's like, "Wait a minute here. I've been sitting here calling for an hour at 250 yards. You should have come to me. And now it's getting further away." Well, that's going to draw the Tom in. So I will do that. Scotty will message me if I'm on the other side of him or vice versa. And I'll call for him and he'll be like, "Hey, call. I got a Tom, but he won't come in." And call. So he wants to come to me. He's got to walk past Scott to get to me. So Scott shuts up and then I start calling or vice versa. So we'll use it to our advantage, but we just say, "Hey, like we're not cutting each other off," but we don't really worry about it a whole lot at all. No, we're usually within 100 yards of each other, I would say. Even the David Suzuki woods, Scotty's favorite spots, just the opposite side of the field we hunt. Mm-hmm. And we've both shot turkeys.
Well, it's good to know. I mean, that was a question that we had. We were thinking about some of the advantages and of having too many people, or not too many, but having people in the woods. And I guess that is true. I mean, the competitiveness of birds would have them either come to you or use each other's.
Dad's got a theory,
calls.
but we can never stick to it. Like, you know, the woods good enough. So Jay, if you're listening and you know where those turkeys are, surround them. And yeah, only one guy's going to get one, because you're all hunting that same field or that same bush, but you don't know where they are in the bush. So that the field that I like to sit at, where I sat, that row where I had the hen roosted behind me Saturday morning, I was roosted in the tree that I was leaning against Saturday morning. That field, they're always in. We know, like, you know, right now, Dad, there's turkeys going to roost right there.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. So Dad says, if there's 4 of us, we could all take a corner. And then, because, you know, Bill, you sit there and you call when they come out of the roost and they go the other way.
Oh, yeah. It's more frustrating than anything. Right? When you got them answering you and then they just go.
So, Dad, that turkey, remember that turkey I shot? You went by yourself. That spot, David Suzuki Woods, and you sat up top. And he was the woods that he would roost in is a 50-yard drop down to a green field below and a cornfield up top. And so Dad would go and sit up top against the woods, and because in the morning they come out of the trees into the cornfield.
First time I sat there, 14 hens came down out of the trees around me, right in front of me, and the tom came down at the top behind me, gobbled so loud, scared the liver out of me behind me, and walked away.
And went down. So the next day, Dad went back. He sat down below. Tom went up top. Dad went back the next day, sat up top. Tom went down below. So that I remember, because the church was having a yard sale. Yeah, so that was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And Dad said, I got to go do the yard sale. And I said, well, I'm going to go. So Dad says, well, you and me and my buddy went. And Dad said, one of you sit up top and one of you sit down below. And one of you is going to get that turkey. And so I ended up going by myself. My buddy couldn't make it. Yeah. So I went, I snuck in, I sat down below, I picked a tree, and I'll be darned, as I'm sitting there and it's starting to get light, crap is falling down on me. I'm going, what is in this tree? And I don't want to move much. And sure enough, the tom is in the tree my back is leaning against. It come down at 40 yards. I shot it. I walked out. I picked it up. And when I picked it up, another tom came out of the tree. The same tree came down, was about to land, seen me standing on this with this one, picking it up, and just about took my head off as it careened back up and flew straight away from me. I could have, it was insane. So I went down and I said, I went to the churchyard sale with it and said, look, Dad, guess I picked the right spot today.
Yeah, full camo, walks in with his hood and mask, the whole bit, carrying a dead turkey in the right in the middle of our yard sale. My wife is saying, get him back in the car.
But I said, see, but Dad says, he always says, if we go there, if 4 of us go and we surround it, one of us guaranteed to get a turkey. And we'd all be within 100 yards of each other. You just got to be cognizant where you're not shooting at each other, right? But obviously, that's easy to do because turkeys aren't like they're on the run. So, but yeah, so to me, you use it to your advantage. If you know the woods good enough, like we know that David Suzuki Woods, we know the 4 spots those birds roost. And we know that one spot where I sit, they always roost. There's always, now whether there's a tom with them or not, don't know, but there's always turkeys. So all 4 of us go and surround that sucker, 2 down at the bottom in each corner, 2 at the top in each corner, you're going to get a turkey.
You got it.
It's guaranteed. It's just when you get there,
capitalize.
The problem is when we get there, somebody's got an inkling that, well, I think the cut would be good. And so that person goes to the cut. Well, I think, and then you lose your people and then you're back to square one of it's gobbling in the tree. Do you call or is it going to walk away?
You got to use your gut feeling, right? And people go by their gut where they should sit. So that's what happens.
Well,
but yeah,
that's a good tip. I liked it.
Oh, heck yeah. It doesn't.
I do remember though, that the only time I can ever remember coming home with, did we ever come home with more than once with 2 birds in a day?
Me and Scotty.
You and Scott, but not with me. It was me and Rick, but you were with us. And it was a small woods.
We did, but I shot mine in the morning. You shot yours in the afternoon.
Okay, so it was a small woods, so we could only sit on three sides. And I remember I was on the east, and Rick was on the west, exactly opposite. And a bird came from my right, going towards the woods, and I shot him in the field at 40 yards. An hour later, a bird came from the field on the other side, coming to the same woods, but coming from the field on the other side, and Rick shot it at 40 yards. So we each got a bird an hour apart, heading to that woods from two separate fields, one from the west, one from the east. But and Todd was sitting on the third side, so we said, okay, let's sit longer. Todd ain't got one yet, but...
screw you guys.
never got the third one.
I sacrificed that morning.
That's good. Every now and then you got to do that.
Yeah, throw them a bone, right? Or they wouldn't go with me ever.
So,
which might be, wait a minute here.
Well, often they don't come out of that wood you're watching. Often they're coming to it. So,
but no, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it to me wouldn't bother me in the least. You just got to be comfy with where you're sitting, right? Everybody's got to be it. Same as deer hunting. You got to be in agreement, not cut the other guy off. There's times that we know we're going to cut, but that's a little bush. Big bush, I don't have a problem. And I wouldn't have a problem with all four of us going and one of us shooting one. Like I know Saturday morning, there will be turkeys in those pines. Mm-hmm. Guaranteed. And if we all went and surrounded it, one of us would get one. But there might be a better chance that if we split up further, more than one of us will get one.
See, that's hunting. It's never a guarantee. You just got to play your odds and see what you can do to capitalize.
Darn sure. So. But I tell you, now that this weather's turning, and now that I'm thinking these hens have had enough, where it's going to be go time.
The wind. I just hope there's no wind on Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope that for you guys too. So, well, best of luck this weekend, gentlemen.
Same to you, Bill.
You too. I hope you don't run out of charcoal or something.
Bill says he's enjoying it. He says he's seeing birds. He's seeing them close. He's never experienced hearing the gobbles and seeing these birds in the wild like this up close. He says he's enjoying every outing. Deer next to us and the wildlife. He says, this is wonderful. I said, well, I'm still just trying to get you a bird. He says, it'll come. I'm just enjoying the mornings. So.
He's got a good attitude about it. I like that.
Good
he's not too discouraged about nothing being in the back of the pickup truck yet.
It's the tea. It mellows you out.
It does. I can tell you that first-hand experience here.
The gateway to knitting. Bingo.
Have you even tasted tea?
You know what? As a man, I might have to say no. I've never tasted tea.
As a realist, though, your coffee pouches that you have that you take with you that are hazelnut and
no. I haven't tried any of those yet, and those were the deal. I am drinking the New Orleans style, which is just like you have cream in your coffee. That is all.
Sounds suspicious to me.
I like this podcast mug.
Oh, jeez. Anyway. Before we get talking about different leaves.
Yep.
Anyway, it was a good podcast, Bill. Enjoy talking to you.
Good luck cooking,
you too,
Bill.
I
hope it doesn't get away from you out of the fridge or freezer
Hey, by the way, before we end this
we were done.
I'm not sure who is the expert putting the memes together.
I swear it's not me. Dad, have I had time to even graphic design anything, to Photoshop anything, post? Not a chance.
I
not
have
me.
a hard time.
But I will tell you, I know who it is. Because there's other people like Bill. You can post on Redneck Country Facebook and Instagram and stuff. Like I have given this out. So I will tell you that it is a real redneck. Because I know who it is. And I'll tell you what, this person is funny as crap. and spot on, I might have to say.
Ain't nobody safe by the looks of it. Based on the post, ain't nobody safe.
Well, I kind of feel like he or she, this real redneck, feels my pain. Really? They relate to me.
I'm thinking you need to be the next target because there's got to be something, unless you're.
How can you target? Me?
I got it.
There's nothing
I thought
to
that
target
as soon as
me.
I said it, I thought, wow, this is going to be impossible for somebody to put something together on Todd.
You can't.
I just
You're
thought it was
exactly
impossible.
right. It's you can't when you perfection, Bill? How do you make fun of perfection? And see, that's why it builds animosity, because I get sarcastic, but then you try back and it's like, how do you do that? I mean, I'm what's Dad's word? I'm majestic, Bill. I'm like a big Tom in the roadway. Majestic. I'm the stars shining around. I'm what Snapchat thought of when they built that filter.
I got it. And I tell you, I'm interested to see what the mystery redneck comes up with in the next little while.
I hope they keep it up. I'm like, they're like, hey, what do you think? I'm like, you just keep on rocking in the free world. I got thick skin. My biggest issue is they're going to have to buy me diapers, because every time I see it, I don't have enough time to get to the bathroom. A little bit pee comes out because I'm laughing so hard.
That's funny. All right.
Yep.
Well, let's
they got some wit.
I'll
give them that.
I'll tell you, I'm enjoying it. I don't take any offense to it. I mean, I cried a little bit, but I got over it.
Well, and that's the worry, right? But I mean, really, we got to toughen you up. You're drinking tea.
So, tell me a break.
All right. All right. Until next week.
Yeah. Good luck with your cooking, Bill. Keep your apron clean, and you have a good week.
See you, Bill.
All right. Take care. And that'll do it for this week, folks. For the Redneck Country Podcast, I'm Bill, the almost guy Tom.
And I'm Todd. Thanks for listening. And folks, if you want to be part of the podcast, or you want to give us some feedback, or really contact us about anything, feel free to email us at podcast@theredneckcountry.com. Again, that's podcast@theredneckcountry.com. Thanks for listening. Talk to you again next week.